No rain showing up in the live Super Doppler 2 radar at this hour, and things looking pretty good around the Cape. In the meantime, temperatures ranging from the 40 degrees, 47 for example, up in Tallahassee, 41 in Pensacola, and 63 degrees down in the Conch Republic. For today, we'll see temperatures generally right around that 70-degree mark. Daytona Beach at 69, 71 degrees in Melbourne. And as far as the shuttle is concerned, maybe a few low clouds over there. Temperatures trying to squeeze up into the upper 50s. Winds will be out of the northwest at about 10 miles per hour. Raul, they're on their way back, and they'll be down any moment.
They sure are, Marty. Thank you so much. And we are breaking away from the Today Show now for a few minutes to show you the landing of the Space Shuttle Columbia. Touchdown is just a few minutes away. News Channel 2 space reporter Dan Billow is live at the Kennedy Space Center now and joins us with the final moment of this historic flight. Dan?
Raul, we're about 7 minutes from touchdown here, and we're right at the Kennedy Space Center runway. Folks in Central Florida will be hearing sonic booms if they're not hearing them already very soon. Take a look behind me just very quickly. The low clouds Marty was talking about, they're right there to our north. Coming in, I think, a little faster, a little sooner than the Spaceflight Meteorology Group expected, and a little sooner, obviously, than they would like. The space shuttle, however, will be brought in from the opposite direction. You're seeing the runway right there. It'll be brought in from the opposite direction, landing south to north, and may squeak in from that south side of the runway before those clouds get there. The commander of the space shuttle obviously wants to have a good view of the runway as he comes in at about 220 miles an hour. And of course, we'll just have the one pass to make the one chance to come in landing. The feeling of gravity will be unfamiliar to Commander Rick Husband as he comes in. Let's give you a look at Mission Control as they help bring the orbiter in. And we're going to be seeing, I believe, some shots from the commander's point of view, as if you were aboard the space shuttle. We'll be able to see that from onboard Columbia as they fly over the Florida coast. We believe. You can never guarantee that, but those pictures from the space shuttle cockpit are always compelling stuff to see. And we will hear the talk between Mission Control and the space shuttle. We'll hear the space shuttle commentator, James Hartsfield. We'll let you go ahead and listen into quite a bit of that this morning as we take you down here through these last 5 minutes or so of Columbia's landing. This is the 28th flight of the Space Shuttle Columbia, the 113th flight of the Space Shuttle overall since 1981. And in this case, there are about 70 international scientists very interested in the cargo that Columbia is bringing home. They've spent those 16 days in space doing nothing but science. This was not a space station flight, unusual in this day and age. They have had dozens of science experiments, research to do, looking at how spaceflight affects people and looking how it affects materials. And some of the valuable cargo that they're bringing home, of course, is valuable because the results can only be obtained in space. There are all kinds there are bone experiments. There's bone culture that has been growing in space. It grows differently in space than in gravity. There are living creatures. There are fish, there are ants, there are spiders, there are all kinds of things. And the Columbia orbiter will sit on the runway for quite some period of time as they unload that valuable cargo. And as you see now, here's where they're coming in over the northern edge of Central Florida, you might say, before dipping down.
Continuing to stand by for communication.
Dipping down around Orlando, Sanford, Titusville. They should be here in another about 3.5 minutes.
Ask a quick question now, Dan. Of course, we've heard a lot about the security down there for Ilan Ramon, the Israeli astronaut. Anything you can tell us on that front?
The security is very much heightened today, but lower profile than on the days leading up to the launch. There are fewer officers here enforcing security. It is a simpler task to secure a landing shuttle than it is a launching space shuttle, simply because the shuttle is not out there as a target on the launch pad for days and days before launch. You also have fewer VIPs here, but I'll tell you, there is a great number of Israeli media here at the landing strip. The astronauts' families are here, as they always are. they all have a personal escort of local and federal law enforcement people following their every move, and all around the runway here, the area you can guarantee is quite secure. You got the clouds now having pretty much moved over as they move in rather quickly the whole runway area, and I'll be interested to see whether the commander of the space shuttle has a good view of the runway as he comes in. The space shuttle has very high-tech instruments, as you can imagine, and the guidance should be fine. It should be no problem, really, if they have to come in with poor visibility, but they may not have quite gotten the weather call right here today. As you take a look at some fairly low clouds with 2 minutes to go, really not hearing much from Mission Control. I'm almost starting to doubt whether the sound is working very well. Here we go.
Continue to seek tracking or communications with Columbia through Merritt Island Tracking Station.
Well,
Last communications with Columbia was at 8 a.m. Central Time, approximately above Texas as it approached the Kennedy Space Center for its landing.
wow.
Flight Director Leroy Kane is now instructing controllers to get out their contingency procedures and begin to follow those.
Oh my goodness. That's unprecedented. That's not good.
The Flight Dynamics Officer reports no tracking data from the C-band radar at the Merritt Island Tracking Station has been reported of any objects.
Whoa. Well, you're hearing commentator James Hartsfield in Mission Control saying that the tracking station here on Merritt Island, here at the Kennedy Space Center, is not able to pick up anything. Not able to pick up anything at all of the space shuttle. The space shuttle should be sending telemetry actively that is picked up by receivers on the ground, and independent of that, receivers on the ground should be able, just by radar, to go ahead and pick up a signal of anything that is flying in the area. I mean, that's simple. That's routine. That's doable. It has nothing to do with the clouds that you're looking at. The last communications, as you heard, from the space shuttle, we were just after 9 o'clock. He said 8 o'clock Central Time, just after 9 o'clock our time. That's 15 minutes ago. Right now we're counting down to 3 seconds to landing. Yeah, they're supposed to be landing right now. They're not here. Where are they? They're lost. I'm going to stop short of saying this is a disaster yet. But, you're hearing what I'm hearing from Mission Control. We hear nothing at all. You heard Hartsfield, the commentator, say that Flight Director Leroy Kane is telling people to get in Mission Control to start looking at their contingency procedures, to start looking at what they do to, as their backup plan, to try to figure out what has happened to the space shuttle.
Now, Dan, obviously communication's been lost here. Any chance that maybe there's a problem with the radios on board as far as that's concerned? No word yet that you're hearing on your end?
No, no communication from the space shuttle. No one on the space shuttle has said anything to Mission Control. They have not heard any voice contact. They have apparently no telemetry. It is all dropped out.
Can you hear any concern as far as Mission Control, as far as Houston and Cape Canaveral, anything now that we're past the scheduled time of landing for the shuttle? I mean,
yeah, this is this is a bad thing. There's not much you can say about it. We are a minute and a half past the scheduled landing time. The space shuttle is not here. This has never happened before. They are gone. I don't mean gone forever. I mean they are gone as far as we know. And there's you can't stop on the way and take a break here. You don't stop, and you don't really land on a highway somewhere because you're having trouble between Texas and here. It's about the last that was seen or heard from the space shuttle. And again, any time, the instant that anyone from Mission Control says
Mission Control,
there we go.
Flight Director Leroy Kane is instructing controllers to follow contingency procedures the last communications with the shuttle Columbia during its descent from orbit were at about 8 a.m. Central Time as it was descending through the atmosphere at an altitude of about 207,000 feet en route to the Kennedy Space Center, Florida, and a touchdown that was anticipated to occur about 2.5 minutes ago. Flight controllers received no further communications with the spacecraft after about 8 a.m. Central Time, and no further tracking data from the spacecraft was gained from C-band tracking radar at the Merritt Island tracking station in Florida.
Well, there's the update for Mission Control, the same update we heard a few moments ago. They
contingency procedures in effect in Mission Control require all operators to conserve all their data and log books and notes that have been taken, that being instructed by Flight Director Leroy Kane, for controllers to begin following those steps and secure all information.
Well, we've got a first-class
testing, a page
problem
test.
on our hands. As you heard James Hartsfield say, 207,000 feet altitude was the last that was seen or heard of the Space Shuttle Columbia and the 7 people who are or were on board the Space Shuttle. They are using radar in the Merritt Island area to look for them. Now, you know, when they're at 200,000 feet altitude and where they were at that point.
Leroy Kane has declared a contingency. Flight controllers here in Mission Control are securing all their information, notes, and data gathered from the spacecraft. The last communications with Columbia at 8 a.m. Central Time as it was descending toward Florida for its landing. At that time, about 207,000 feet above Central Texas, traveling approximately 12,500 miles per hour, 1,192 miles from its touchdown at Kennedy Space Center.
Now, at that point, over
7 a.m., no communications were received with Columbia and no tracking data received through the Merritt Island tracking station. Those efforts made, Flight Dynamics Officer reports no objects tracked through that tracking data.
Things stirring around here at the runway now. Some of the security folks. Looks like we got a van full of, yeah, you just saw it. Looks like that van is probably full of family members of the astronauts being driven away from the runway here. Just got a glimpse of them as they took off. You know, here again over Central Texas, 200,000 feet high, going 12,000 miles an hour. Is the last that was seen or heard from the Space Shuttle Columbia. And you don't really, you've heard James Hartsfield in Mission Control say here that they are using radar on Merritt Island here in Florida to try to track the Space Shuttle to see any objects. It's a long way from here to Central Texas, obviously all the way across the Gulf of Mexico. Whether they even got within range of this tracking station here to be seen even as debris or any objects that may be falling through the air is unknown. You know, there are many contingency plans that the astronauts go through when they practice their landings, and they get the best test pilots they can and most creative, resourceful people that they can who can bring the shuttle through trouble.
Now, Dan, if
here
I could,
in this case, you know, you just don't know if they ever had a chance or if they will ever show up. You know.
Now,
Maybe.
Dan, if I can jump in here for a minute, obviously we don't want to speculate as to what may have happened, but as far as the crowds, any crowds that you can see that were there for the landing, are you seeing them reacting at all? Or is there shock? Is there surprise as to them wondering what could be going on?
Well, we're not. We're starting to see some of the crowd just filter away. Their family members.
Go back to the press site. Please pack up and go back to the press site. We are trying to close operations here. We'll go back to the press site.
Well, I think
We
you
will
heard.
address any questions